What is going on, my friends? Hank here, and today we're going to learn how to create 352 Victory Ace Erich Hartmann's Bf-109G-6 using Tamiya's lovely 1/48 scale kit. This is a remaster of a very old video from way back in the early days of the channel, but it was a wonderful build and I wanted to share it with you guys again. Now, I didn't film the build process for this kit. There are plenty of great videos on YouTube already documenting that process, so we're just going to pick it up right from the painting stage. The only modification worth noting here is the canopy. I replaced the stock greenhouse canopy from the kit with an Erle Haube canopy that I borrowed from an Eduard kit. The improved visibility canopy was produced by Erle Maschinenwerk starting in the end of 43 and was installed on Hartmann's G6s starting in the summer of 44. We're going to start by priming the entire vehicle with a Vallejo black acrylic primer to give us a nice surface to work with. Next, let's paint the belly and lower portion of the fuselage with some Ammo MIG RLM 76 Pale Gray. We're going to go about halfway up the fuselage with our RLM 76. This will give us a good midpoint to work down to with our darker colors. From here, we can use some Tamiya 18mm masking tape and some of their masking tape for curves to mask off the wing roots. For the main upper surfaces of the aircraft, we're going to use some RLM 75 Grau Violet. Let's begin by blocking in the upper surfaces of the wing with RLM 75. With that complete, we can remove the masks and reveal that nice crisp line at the wing root. We're going to use that same RLM 75 Grau Violet for the spine of the aircraft and the upper surfaces of the horizontal stabilizers. And that'll give us that nice two-tone camouflage to start adding some models in a little bit. For the wing camouflage, let's mask off some large geometric splinters here. We're going to spray these in with some RLM 74 Graugrun. It's a bit hard to see here, but just hang tight until we take the masks off. And now you can see how well that RLM 74 and RLM 75 sit next to each other. I really love the color palette of these mid-war paint schemes. Hopping back to our fuselage, we can model in a bit of Graugrun around the canopy area to break up that Grau Violet on the spine. And we're going to continue with the Graugrun and add a handful of very subtle models going back along the fuselage sides. Some of these can extend down below into the RLM 76 on the lower fuselage as well. We can also add a few additional models on either side using some RLM 02 Green Slate and some RLM 80 Olive Grun. It's a little hard to see because it is quite subtle, but these are the actual RLM paint colors that would have been kicking around for field-applied camouflage on an aircraft like this. With the modeling complete, let's mask up this rear segment of the fuselage and the undersides of the wingtips to add the yellow identification marks. These are sprayed on with Ammo MIG Zinc Chromate Yellow. The lower engine cowling can also be painted in this same color. With all the painting complete, we can spray the whole kit with a coat of AK Interactive Intermediate Gauzy Agent to prepare for decals. We're going to be using an aftermarket decal sheet from Eagle Cals for this particular build today. The trickiest part of this whole project will certainly be the Tulip decals, as you might expect. Eagle Cals recreated this iconic scheme with 14 individual pieces, which allows us to go slow and make sure each petal settles nicely over the cowl details. We can apply all 7 white petals and coax them into position with many coats of microsol and some Q-tips. Since we only need the edges of these white petals to stay intact, we can use a new hobby blade to remove any of the most egregious wrinkles. Next, we can repeat the process with the black petals. The name of the game here is patience. In between each application of solution, we can hop around and work on applying some of our other decals and stencils while the tulips settle completely. At this point, it can be helpful to break out the big guns and trade in your microsol for some Mark Fit Strong to really force those decals into all the nooks and crannies of the engine cowling if you see fit. With all the decals applied, it's time to move on to some weathering. Let's begin by spraying the aircraft with another coat of AK Gauzy agent to seal in all of our work so far. To begin, let's use some Flory Dark Dirt Wash to accentuate our panel lines. This can be sludged on the whole model in sections and allowed to dry completely. And once dry, we can wipe off that excess Flory with a damp paper towel. For a little added richness to the panel weathering, we can add some small dots of burnt umber oil paint along the panel lines. This can be blended in with a Q-tip, dipped in a little bit of enamel thinner. I like these rich rusty tones to add to a green-gray aircraft like this. For the tires, we're going to use some Ammo MIG Pacific Dust Wash. Any excess can be removed with a little bit of enamel thinner once again. And we can repeat the whole process with some Ammo MIG Dark Wash on the landing gear struts and the wheel wells as well. With all of that complete, let's spray the whole vehicle with a coat of matte varnish and remove the canopy masks. And now it's time to mount the wheels and canopy to the main body of the model. For a few finishing touches, we can add some very subtle little scratches to the paint with a metallic pencil. And we can use this same pencil to add some detail to the leading edges of the propeller blades and on the cannon and MG barrels themselves. And our last step is going to be to add the antenna wire. And with that, we've got ourselves a fantastic replica of Erich Hartmann's Bf-109G-6 Black Tulip down here in 1/48th scale. If you're a fan of 109s, you've got to have an Ace of Aces bird in your collection somewhere. Thanks for tuning in today, my friends. If you'd like to check out some of my other technique videos for Luftwaffe birds, you can do so right here. And until next time, be well, happy building, cheers.